Hello, this is Demon Phoenix covering the next part of my Deathmark walkthrough. We're on Hearts of Stone and we are covering the auction house mission for Olgierd and the Dead Man's Party mission. Now, there are some important things to look out for in the auction house mission. There are several of Vimi's friends that you can talk to, or acquaintances, and they each give you something important. Make sure you talk to the woman who is particularly interested in Witcher gear, because she sells the Viper diagrams, as you can see here, and you should make sure you have enough money to buy those, because that is the only place and the only opportunity in the whole game that you have to get the Viper armor. So make sure that you buy all 4 diagrams and that you have enough money going in to be able to get those. You can also speak to her afterwards, which is quite an interesting conversation. The other people that you can speak to is the Gwent player, and you need to be able to play him and beat him. He plays Nilfgaardian deck with the annoying Hearts of Stone leader ability that makes sure that any medics revives a random card instead of the card of your choice. So make sure that you're being careful when you do that, and be aware that that's the ability when you're playing that deck. If you can beat him, you get the Gauntro Dim Darkness card, and that is only 2 strength, but it's a siege card, and it also has muster. So if you play that card, it draws in the 3 Gauntro Dim 4 strength cards, if you have those in your deck. So it can be useful, because if you have that card, you can switch out. If you have that card at the start of a round, you can switch out any of the other Gaunted cards you've got and just play that one instead. So it is worth trying to beat him just to get that. You can also bet a hefty amount of money there. It's about 125, so you can win 200. You can win another 125 if you beat him as well. The third person to talk to is the art critic, and if you he asks you which painting he thinks is by the particular artist, and if you tell him that it's the merchant with the earring, he will give you a tip about buying Van Ro's painting. And make sure that you don't share that information with Vimy. So if you speak to him, it then proceeds onto the auction when you've spoken to all 3 people. I always buy all 3 items. They cost you about, I think it's 670 crowns in total for all of them. And the Count Romilly's figurine that you buy there, that can be dismantled, and it gives you a little quest with a treasure hunt and a key that's inside the item. So unless you bid for that and get it for 300 crowns during this auction, you won't be able to do that treasure hunt. You won't be able to ever unlock that chest, so that's worth having a little look at. You can also get bid for the Van Ro painting, and if you spoke to the art critic and told him the correct painting, well, as I was just saying before, if you tell him that it's the merchant with the pearl earring, then when this painting comes up for bid in the auction, it will only cost you 20 crowns and nobody will bid against you. If you tell Vimy about what the art critic told you, then he will bid against you and it costs more money. So make sure that you keep that info to yourself. Just bid the $20 there, 20 crowns rather. And what that does is it lets you get this painting and you can sell it to Marcus, the bookshop owner in Novigrad, as a quest later, and he gives you 500 crowns and a unique trophy as well, so that's worth doing. And then lastly there are the Professor's glasses. Now the Professor's spectacles, they don't do anything. You can equip them. Lots of people ask about how you get them. They don't do anything particularly, but they do look kind of cool. This is the only opportunity to get them in the game, so I would recommend you buy them just in case you ever feel like you want to buy them. And you can also put them together with ass ears later and make a concealment kit if you want, which is like a funny little mask. So definitely worth buying those just in case you ever feel like you want them, and 350 crowns is not that much. Now the other mission that you can do is Dead Man's Party. So I like to do the auction house bit first before I do Dead Man's Party, and there's a reason for that. You have to fight Olgierd von Everic's relatives, ghosts. It doesn't seem to matter, it didn't matter particularly when I was doing here. The normal trick of switching to the feline gear for elemental resistance doesn't seem to make much difference. I actually seem to take marginally less damage when I was wearing the regular gear, but as you can see they do very little damage anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And as long as you're using the normal setup of the decoctions and Arakas, it shouldn't have any problem at all. Even when I was deliberately taking hits here to test the damage, it's very little indeed, and as soon as you actually want to take them out, you can just take them all out with Whirl, Rend or Strong Attacks, whichever you really choose. It's a very easy fight relatively speaking. So just use your normal potions and decoctions, wipe them all out, and then carry on with the mission, which means that Vladimir will inhabit and possess Geralt's body, and then you go to Dead Man's Party and have to show him a good time. Dead Man's Party is pretty much just dialogue. There's not much to do with it, but there are a few things to look out for. The important one is that you can get a unique item, which the person's wearing there, which is the ass ears, so donkey's ears. But to do this, you have to lose the Gwent game against these halflings. You don't get anything for winning, so it's actually better to probably lose this one if you want to get that unique item. But be aware that you lose 5% of your total crown, so it's not a fixed amount of money. It's 5% of total. So for example, if you had 20,000 crowns saved up, you would lose 1,000, so it can end up costing you a lot of money. Now, one of the ways you can mitigate this is if you are very confident that you have enough items saved up. Now, I've just been stashing all of my swords and armours that I've been picking up, knowing that I'll need to sell them to the Grandmaster Armourer later because he gives the best prices. So I'm confident that I can get that money back. So what I've done here is I've actually been to the Rune Rite before doing Deadman's Party and paid him the 15,000 crowns to unlock the level 3 of the Rune Rite, because I'd already unlocked levels 1 and 2. Now, don't be overly concerned about doing this. I'm only recommending doing this if you know exactly how much money you've got, how much items you've got saved up and things like that. So just be aware, if you're going to lose and get the ass ears from losing the Gwent, you will lose 5%, so it can be quite a lot, and if you've anything important you want to buy, you could buy that first. Just a quick note there. Now, one of the other things you can do is you can herd the pigs. There are 2 pigs, and if you herd them without Axie, not only do you get more experience points, you also get a unique trophy, which is the King of the Swineherd trophy, and that's really good because instead of 5% bonus gold, it gives 15. So if you have that on Roach whilst you're negotiating contracts, you get 15% more gold, and it also doesn't weigh anything, so you can get rid of the 5% trophies, that any of those that you're carrying, which weigh 1 each. You can get rid of those, and you can just have the King of Swineherd, which doesn't weigh anything, so that's useful. You can use that in Blood and Wine to get some more money for your contracts when you're negotiating. At this point, when you've done the Deadman's Party quest afterwards, you can play Gwent with Shani. You can go and find her clinic in Oxenfurt, which is on the west coast of the Oxenfurt Island. And you can play her at Gwent, and she has the Olgierd card, which is really good because it's an agile card, so you can play it on combat or on the ranged row, but it also has morale, and it's 6 strength, so it's a decent strength. You can play it on either row, on the first 2 rows, and it also boosts all cards on the same row by +1, apart from hero cards. That's a great card. Then I go back to doing the Borsodi mission, so there are submissions for getting a team together to be able to try and break into the Borsodi auction house and try and steal Maximilian Borsodi's house, which is one of the things that you have to do for Olgierd. Just bear in mind that the choice between the thieves to break in is between Eveline and Hugo, and always do the Hugo part first because, slight spoiler, he is dead already, so you can't ever recruit him. You always end up getting Eveline, so you do his bit first because you only have to fight a couple of guards and you get experience for doing that. Then go and speak to Eveline and get her on board. For the actual quest, you have a couple of fights in it, and you don't have your regular armor, so you can't be as lackadaisical as usual about taking damage because you don't have the resistances of the Ursine armor. But the enemies still don't do a lot of damage. You have a wooden sword for this particular fight, but you can still apply Hangman's Venom to it, so protective coating still applies. You can still apply all of your decoctions, and even though you don't want to be properly hurting these guys, for some reason it doesn't matter if you set them on fire with Igni, so you can do that absolutely no problem. They don't do very much damage to you, and it shouldn't be a problem. You can see here they're level 35 because they're scaled to my level, level 36, but even if you take off the enemy upscaling, which I'm going to do here, they would still be level 33 enemies, so it's not like if you have upscaling on, you're fighting much higher level version of them. They're still level 33, this is how the fight is designed to be. Now you can see I'm not taking any damage, it's not difficult, you just use your normal, whirl, rend, whatever. You can poison them with poison blades if you've got that instead of tissue transmutation, and like I say, you can burn them with Igni, it all makes it go a little bit faster. There are a couple of other fights that you need to be aware of in this mission, but nothing major. If you choose the person who is if you choose the lockpick instead of the demolitions expert, then you have to fight a few arachnomorphs. You drop down a pit as you're trying to enter the vault, so you have to fight 4 arachnomorphs, and again without your armor. So if you have to do that fight, if you get dropped into the pit, I think there's 4 arachnomorphs from what I remember from fighting them. So just make sure you use all of your potions that are available, use your bombs, and make sure that you are dodging and keeping Quen up with Superior Tawny Owl and Rage Management and Superior Maribor and all that stuff. I don't want to spoil who this fight in the vault is, so after that you have a fight in the vault. Make sure that after the fight you loot all the chests, that's very important. Now you can see here that it's very easy to just throw a Northern Wind Bomb and attack the person who has the health bar. And that makes this go really quickly. So here I just use Rend and Whirl and the fight's over in about 10 seconds flat. So after you've done this fight, make whatever choice you want from the dialogue and everything else, and you'll complete the mission and can go back to Olgierd. Now, one last very important thing to remember is that after you have finished this, before you take Maximilian's house, which is the key objective, the item you need to take, make sure that you get the chest to the left of it, which is the Venomous Viper Steel Sword. That is the only place that you can get this diagram in the Hearts of Stone expansion, and it's a level 39 sword. It's very, very good. It unfortunately gets a little bit outclassed by the Grandmaster ones afterwards, but it's well worth picking up and it's unique, so make sure you do. And then watch this little bit. Damn candles. You gotta love CDPR, absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, thank you, and we'll be back with the next episode shortly.